Welcome to the New Mom Talk podcast, your go-to podcast for evidence-based answers to your burning questions about parenting. Join us as we dive into commonly Googled topics and hear from experts and real moms. Let's navigate parenthood together, one question at a time. Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that I am not familiar with, and I am pregnant. So this topic is fascia and how it helps expecting moms. So for this topic, we have Anna Rahe with us. Thank you for being here.
Great. My name is Anna Rahe. I run a company exclusively dedicated to body care, all types of body care related to fascia. And it's a very important body tissue and a whole body system that organizes every other system in your body. And so when we dive into what it is and how it works, you just want to know that this is really important to almost every topic of your health and wellness, from like physiology, how things work and the biochemistry of your body, to the structural components of your body, to strength and conditioning, to also into more of the aesthetics, like, losing postpartum body weight and baby weight. So it helps with breastfeeding. There's just a lot of different things that fascia touches in on, and it becomes really a focal point for moms to take care of one thing to address all their health needs.
I'm really excited to learn about this topic. In simple terms, can you explain what it is, why it plays a crucial role in the body during pregnancy? And then we'll get to the postpartum piece later, but let's start with you're creating a baby. Why do you need to know anything about fascia?
So fascia is a type of tissue. It's kind of generic way of talking about how tissue is organized in the body. And we kind of liken it, for people's understanding, that fascia is like saying my body's made out of cotton, like my shirt is made out of cotton. It's a fabric, fiber, fluid material. It organizes into a holistic body system that comes complete with its own organs, the way that your heart is part of your cardiovascular system and the way that your lungs are an organ. But fascial organs are not massed organs, they're layered organs. And so for many years, it's kind of been missed in terms of its importance and how it's organized in the body. And when it comes to a pregnant body, which is the most dynamic and exciting body in the entire existence, fascia plays a huge role. Number one, it is responsible for how the body organizes itself. So it's what gives sheets around it to organize muscle tissue. It actually creates the tonality of your pelvic floor. It helps to actually metabolize and deliver hormone and nutrients to babies. It is the primary kind of connective tissue that surrounds placenta and the umbilical cord. And it also is proactive. Your fascia is proactive in influencing internal body growth, baby growth. So there's all of these different ways that taking care of your fascia really plays a role in having a healthy pregnancy. And most people's bodies are not prepared really to carry babies. One of the reasons is that our modern lifestyle takes out a lot of the dynamics that conditions fascia. Fascia is a fluid. It's made from 70% water and only 30% fiber. To just help the listener understand or get a picture of what this is like if we took the top layer of skin off and you peeked underneath your skin, you'd see like this kind of delicate gel spider web that was wrapping over everything. It looks very like gooey and like gel. Okay. And it's very animated. It's supposed to pull and push, and because it's a fluid, it works off of this very important pump-like action of our movements. As humans, we tend to be very sedimentary in our lifestyles and sedentary. We like to sit most of the day, and this takes off the rarely essential movement that conditions our fascia. Things like most women do not actively use their primal squat, which is the conditioner of your pelvic floor, which actually tells your body how to carry the load and the weight of the baby inside of you. We don't lift our rib cage, right? So we're always for the first 30, years of our life, we're like, shorten this distance, tighten it as hard as we can to get rock solid abs. And it vices our organs and it doesn't actually create space. And so fascia is the individuator of space. It is what holds the organs in place inside your torso. It's what will spread and create lift when you're having a round ligament pain as you start to expand in your uterus. So fascia is like this barometer of internal tensions as well as creating the shape of your body. So when the baby comes out, for example, your fascia needs to be able to reorganize its tensions to help shrink the tissues back into size and recreate the structures of your body. So from this perspective, fascia becomes really kind of like layered into the pregnancy journey at different steps, and most people's bodies are not having healthy fascia, which allows it to expand and stretch and have resilience for the expansion of the body. And then when the baby comes out, I guess it's the reformation of the tissues.
I got a very visual image when you were describing it.
Yes.
So then how does caring for this help alleviate the common pregnancy discomforts that some women go through, such as back pain, the pelvic pressure, any of those?
Great idea. So fascia's primary sense of feedback from the world around us is pressure, is called mechanical loading. And so we can go a little bit into more of the psychological loading or the chemical like hormones in a minute. But for the human pregnant body, fascia's constantly getting load, and a baby is a lot of load. But it takes there's this principle in fascia called biotensegrity. It finds its greatest structural support. Think about wearing a corset, right? But it's like this way of the body structurally supporting itself comes from the different types of tensions. Over tight tissue is bad. Under tight tissue is bad. Think about that rigidity going into these fibers that are supposed to be really flexible. And fascia tends to these imbalances create a big role in how the body is going to carry the baby inside of you. So, for example, when you have pelvic floor pain or low back symptom, it's usually because there's a lack of tension balance or tensegrity in the tissues of the fascia, and you can actually change that by tightening one side and loosening the other and rearranging. One of the things that people need to picture as they're thinking about fascia is that it's really three-dimensional. It's not like a muscle that runs from one point to another like a line. It's like your body is more tubes than sticks, okay? And so this fascia wraps like stockings around everything. And so you think about your uterus and as it's expanding, or the pelvic floor, there are three-dimensional structures in the body. And when there is pain in low back, hip, like not being able to breathe, digestive issues, all of that comes down to how fascia is holding its tensions inside your body. One thing that people will struggle with in pregnancy is like digestion, and this can happen because of the hormones, estrogen, progesterone, that are present during the pregnancy, but it also comes down to how your organs are being smushed by the expanding baby inside of you. Fascia is what is responsible for the contraction of your esophagus to synchronize with the contraction of your colon and your intestines to move food along the intestinal tract and extract the nutrients. People who have really sedentary or no motility, a lack of motility in their organs, tend to experience more digestive issues in their pregnancy. And so you can go in and address the fascia, how to get more motility in your viscera. It's one of the organs of fascia, and be able to, with those uncomfortable bloating and lack of, elimination, constipation, and those kind of uncomfortable conditions just by how the fascia is working inside your organs.
A lot of things that you just don't think about, like
nothing at all.
Yeah, especially when you're pregnant.
I think that people, when you're pregnant, here's what I love about pregnancy. So we have a program, and I was working with this woman one time. It's divided by preparation for pregnancy, then prenatal, then carrying the pregnancy, and then postpartum. And as I was walking her through this, it was really interesting because she had so many various symptoms, and she would run to her OB, and her OB would be like, oh, that's just not related to this. And that's not related to this. And she would come back and be like, but I feel like my digestion and my low back are connected. I'm like, yes, they are. These are things that we're not taught in the Western medicine perspective of influence where it's like, this is not related, or this is just something you have to live through. And it's not, no one's like saying, actually, there is something that seriously connects these symptoms and these experiences. And if you deal with one body system, you will find relief on all these levels. So we started going in and opening up her pelvic floor diaphragm, her viscera or thoracic diaphragm, and all of a sudden, 90% of her symptoms that were hurting, like her hip, round ligament pain, digestive issues, all subsided. And she was able to actually have these tools that actually set her up well for labor. There's a couple videos on there for labor because each step of the process, that's why I said like the woman's body is so dynamic during pregnancy that each one of those steps in pregnancy has a different requirement already, like, almost like you train as an athlete. Women need to kind of think about pregnancy without being overwhelmed as like, I got to condition this. It is something that I do biologically that's innate. But like I said, the modern lifestyle really takes its toll on the female body, and the condition of your body when you go into pregnancy greatly determines the postpartum recovery. Those are two sides of the same book. And so you want to actually, if you're thinking about getting pregnant, start taking care of your fascia before you start getting pregnant, where the fibers are really available, because there's so much dynamic changes during those 9 months that you want to like jump in and take care of it ahead of time.
I think this is perfect lead into the next question. Like, what are some specific fascia-related exercises or techniques that are safe and beneficial for expecting women?
The biggest thing that I will tell the pregnant woman is you have to open your thoracic cavity. You must. Your torso is now going to house a baby for 9 months, and everything gets displaced, everything gets pulled apart, and you need a ton of space. So we look at the torso primarily from the spine. Mothers who are trying to get pregnant, you need to release the tension between your rib cage and your pelvic floor. Think about those Easter eggs that have two halves. We need to actually open those Easter eggs and split them. And that's by increasing length in the upper torso, by expanding your ribs, and by getting into the muscles of your pelvic floor. And there's some exercises that can do that. Another thing that is really important is there's 3 primary ways that you can manipulate tissue to create that kind of internal space. One is called traction. That's a pulling length into the body. The other is called compression, which actually loosens things. For the listener, because fascia is formed in tubes, right? Kind of like your torso is 3-dimensional. When you squeeze a tube, like you push an accordion together, the tube gets looser and there's more space if you can actually create looseness. So we have traction pulls tension out of the body for the mom, and then compression actually adds looseness into the fibers. And then we have a wringing out, like you're actually kind of twisting the spine. And just those 3 things are really important. I'd like to say that if you are trying to picture what this looks like in your given day, you would like go to your kitchen sink and you'd grab your hands onto the edge of the kitchen sink and put your toes against the edges of the sink. And you'd pull your butt back as long and as far as you can and just hang off the bar. It's called traction. Then you drop your hips towards your heels. This is forming a primal squat, if you can picture this. And I have videos, Mariella, that you can put in show notes to show these 3 actions for any mom who wants to go back and look at them. You need to primal squat. It's the primary birthing position for actually opening up the pelvic floor and helping the inlet and the outlet of the pelvis spread for baby. Then you pull back into traction and you come forward and you do an arch over your table. You're not going to videotape this. I want to show it to you so you can picture it. So grab onto your sink, put your feet against the baseboard, pull back and hang off that sink, almost like you're on a jungle gym. Then you bend your hips down towards your heels. It stretches your spine. It stretches your torso, like I was saying. Then you pull your hips back and then you come forward and you arch. Drop your hands off the sink. Take your arms out to your sides and twist. This is super important. I'm going to give you one other thing that's kind of fascinating about fascia and prenatal nuchal folds as the baby's developing. So you rotate and that washes it out. Those 3 actions, compression, traction and rotation act like kind of washing the fascia like you're hand washing a sweater. You dunk the sweater in a basin of water, that's called compression. You lift it out of the water and all the water trickles down, that's traction. And then you wring it out and it cleans it. And this keeps your fascia really flexible, which you want for expanding in the 9 months of pregnancy. It keeps your tissue agile and it keeps you really healthy. Moms have to be able to do these 3 things on the go. So what I always tell people, whether you're a mom or not, is look around the world and see where you can do those 3 things. Your life is a jungle gym, and believe me, when you have your baby in your arms, all of a sudden you'll even have deeper meaning to that advice. You have to do this on the fly. Me and my 2-year-old son are literally constantly hanging, tractioning, and rotation. It's very primal, and you can do this with your baby, but look for ways to make those 3 movements. I described it at your sink, but you could do it on your car door while you're pumping gas. You can do it on a chain link fence while you're waiting for your child to come out of its soccer game, or when you're at the gym. You want to be able to layer that everywhere. Here's what's really interesting. When the baby is forming, internal embryonic movement contributes to the nuchal fold development. Nuchal folds are what are happening in the brain. It's been linked to higher levels of intelligence with babies. It's what creates the real estate of the brain. All of those bumps that end up showing up on your brain is the brain folding in on itself to get more surface area so that nerves and the neurology can wire into the brain. And they have been discovering that natal movement in utero is responsible for being able to have higher levels or higher amounts of nuchal fold, which translates into higher levels of intelligence. When you use your fascia, it is so visceral. It's called visceral motility. It actually creates movement for the baby inside of you. That compression is really important for brain development. The traction and loading off actually pushes the fluids through your uterus and starts to get movement to the baby. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. You doing the same actions that's nurturing your structures and your tissues that are expanding and changing is also creating nutritional movement for the baby's neurological wiring and development. So you kind of, again, get a 2-for-1. It's kind of cool.
Hi, everyone. It's your host, Mariella. I want to thank you for listening and share some ways to show your continued support. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share the show with friends and family. Buy me a coffee to help with the financial costs of running a podcast. Follow me on Instagram at newmomtalk.podcast. And finally, subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you for listening. When you're describing like that stretching or the reaching, it makes me instantly think about you're driving and you have to, I don't know, keep the baby awake because they're falling asleep in the car seat. And here you are like reaching back.
Twisting. That's right. That's right. Most of us like neck pain after. Let's talk postpartum for 3 seconds. Many women experience quite a bit of pain. One of my friends came to me desperate. Her name is Cynthia. She's like, oh my gosh, I breastfeed and my neck is just searing pain. And I don't understand why I had metastasis and then all these upper body issues after postpartum. And I'm like, girl, it's because number 1, you're stressing, you're not sleeping. Like there's multiple, factions, but most of us have so much downward pull on our bodies and the fascia is so rigid that until you actually restore that and optimize your fascia, you're actually adding extra stress to an already stressful situation. And so I think the message for mothers is you need to find something that allows you to like connect to your body deeply while you're taking care of someone else, right? Like taking care of yourself is one primary thing, but you need to be able to have these like really interesting things, like try expanding your ribs and breathing, looking up while you're breastfeeding instead of always looking down at your baby. This is primarily like taking de-stressing in the upper body and helping you with neck pain. If you can open up this area of the fascial tissue, you're going to be a much more successful breastfeeding mother than if it's closed and vicing it's called the third quartile. It's an area of your back that causes a lot of stress in early motherhood, especially when your milk comes in. So there's all of these different things that if you can just kind of focus on this one aspect, you'll get all of these benefits throughout every step of motherhood. Basically, it's every step of motherhood, isn't it?
I love all this because I feel like this is just I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about labor and delivery. So,
Yes,
with working on fascia during pregnancy, can it help prepare you for the fun part of labor and delivery?
correct. Yes and no. So this is something that I've learned. I'm a mother of three children, and each labor is so different. And you gotta be kind of, I think the mindset of motherhood is adaptation, which is another really key feature of fascia, by the way, but being adaptive. So when you go into labor, you will going to think, I'm going to have a natural this, and I'm going to do this, and I want it to be like this. And we have all of these set up like ideals of what we'd love to have happen. And the thing that I could say to every mother is, take out like as much of the miscellaneous things and try to really get what you can control. What you can control is how you talk to your body through pain. How do you actually consciously work with your body? The better you know your body going into labor, the easier that's going to be. Be flexible and agile. If someone says you have to have this, go with it. Just say yes, because you don't want to contract around while your body's trying to expand. My sister had a great first labor. Her second labor was a nightmare. And she's like, I thought I was good at this. And it totally spun her. And what they realized is that the baby was positioned differently and her body was in a different place. So here's what you can say with fascia. Prepare your fibers to be the most agile that they can be. Prepare your pelvic floor. You can do structural things for your body using fascia that will set you up for the best possible outcome. And after that, it's an organic process. Your body is complicated and it's varied, and it has a lot less to do sometimes with you than it has to do with a baby. Labor is a dance, right? Labor is not me. I'm going to make this happen. It's like, my baby needs this from me. And if you think about it like that, you can have these skills. Fascia teaches you some amazing skills of ways to contract the pelvic floor, ways to set up your pelvis, different positions. But really it comes down to like this like meditation and being present in the moment. And so control the controllables, release and free yourself to be in the moment, and remember that it's a two-person dance, I think, more than anything.
Yeah. Well, now let's talk about the postpartum. Are there any long-term benefits for postpartum recovery when pregnant women really are focusing on that fascia health and working on
Yes.
like those exercises that you mentioned?
Yes. What's interesting is that the same things that prepare the body, like I was kind of saying, they're bookending, you'll do at the end. Okay. So I like to say it's simple. Those three things expand you, and then they will also, that compression and that tractioning will help to bring your fibers back. You need to do some effort, some minimal effort to help your pelvic floor and your pelvis restructure and reset. What that looks like are some very simple exercises. Revisit your primal squat. Try to allow for your spine to align. What you're going to try to do is just stay with those same, like, very basic principles in postpartum, because the body does need help. And you get so busy when you have the baby, and there's so many things going on, and the focus immediately once that baby's in your arms goes from being all about you and making sure that you're ready to do all these things to being like, there is no me anymore. I have to be about the baby. And what I tell people often is, this is why learning your fascia can be so empowering to a mom, is that all of a sudden you don't have 30 minutes to go to the gym, but guess what you do have? 3 minutes at the edge of your baby's crib to do traction, compression, rotation before you leave the room, after you've put it down. Or while the baby's crawling around on the floor, you're going to find the chair that you breastfeed in, and you're going to sit there and do rotation, and you're going to be doing these things. It's really most important to just keep your fascia animated, not contracted. So fascia is either kind of like, for the listener, fascia, think about movement for fascia like a snow globe. The more sedimentary you are, the more static you are, the more the snow globe, like the snow is really heavy and dense, and it sits on you and it creates quite a bit of problem for the body. The more you can just fluff that snow globe and shake your body up is really influential in terms of how your body will recover. The body has an innate intelligence, and if you provide the right conditions rather than what I do and what I don't do, I think by motherhood, you get so overwhelmed by the do's and don'ts. And what fascia taught me in the 25 years of doing this is that it's really optimize your fascia, and everything else that's part of it takes care of itself. You don't have to have a do and a don't and do this and don't do this. It's like, so participate in just tuning into your body. Fascia is a sensory organ that will tell you what is happening inside of you. When you have a hip problem or if you feel your pelvic floor not strengthening, yeah, there's techniques. I can give you some things like jumping on a trampoline is really good for pelvic floor health. How you breathe and doing some breathing exercises helps you gain pelvic floor health. Putting your pelvis structurally back together. But all of those things come in just by taking care of your fascia. The body will 90% of the time do that for you correctly if your fascia is healthy.
That's a lot. It's a lot to like take in and to think about, but it's super easy little things that like you mentioned to do at home for a few minutes a day. And not to add anything else to a mom's to-do list, but
you can't. And this is what I would say, while you're pregnant and you have a little bit of space, do a deep dive into fascia. Just like it takes 5 or 10 minutes to be like, what is this and how does it, right? But if you can include this as your kind of body care system, your body, then all of a sudden it's like, can I go get my cardio? How am I going to tone? How many sit-ups do I need to do? It's like fascia gives you a completely different lens to look through where it's like, what does fascia need? 3 things. That's it. And it will tone. It will help you with the deflation of your belly. There's variations inside of that, but it's worth like putting your mama care together prior to baby arrival, kind of like you're taking care of the nursery and you're taking care of all the things you need for the baby. Make sure that you're finding a sustainable body care practice that's not, just focused on muscles or just trying to lose weight or just it's like all of it. How do I support my metabolism? Fascia does that. How do I support structural alignment? Fascia does that. And mental health, also, we don't need to go into it today, but fascia is really intricately round to your mental health as a mom.
Yeah. Well, my last question, do you have any other tips, suggestions, or recommendations?
Any tips, suggestions, or okay. I would say 3 things. Jump into your body as a mom and always use your presence of your body as the way to be present, to feel your child, to listen through what's happening inside of you. I think as a mom, we get stuck in our heads. We overemphasize the mental aspect rather than the wisdom of our body. And that can be so freeing when your 2-year-old starts saying no and throwing tantrums. You want to be there to be present with what you're feeling and how you can be present with your baby and understanding it through that lens. And I think that requires just having a quiet place. Going inside into your body is also a room. It's a sanctuary. You can do that while you're still present as a mom. And if you reframe that you're climbing inside of your own skin to find that peace, I think that it will really help you in the long term. And I mentioned that fascia is your sensory organ. And so the more you can get good at listening through the sensations that fascia is telling you and how it's reporting back to you. Until the age of 5, children also share the same auric field as their mother. And so your presence in your body and how you choose to live embodied directly affects how you can connect with your baby. And so that would be my encouragement, is that motherhood is lived deeply inside from the minute that baby arrives inside of you until even the baby's 5. You have all this time where who you are inside of you is informing how your baby is experiencing the world. And so it's really important to be able to be there and be present with that.
Thank you so much. I will have all of your information linked in the show notes for anyone that wants to reach out or take a look at those videos that you mentioned. I appreciate you taking time to connect with us and talk to us about it and teach me something new about fascia.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me. It's been so nice talking with you.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for our next episode. You can find us on Instagram for more updates and tips. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a review if you like us.